Welcome to the Women Matter podcast with your host, Marline C. DeRosso. Join us as we delve into all things women, from the complexities of fertility to empowering discussions on femininity and confidence. Our segments shine a light on the journey of family building, offering awareness and support to those navigating this path. We're here to tackle impactful topics crucial to women's lives, empowering you to be unapologetically yourself while embracing your femininity. Tune in for insightful conversations and inspiration to live boldly in every aspect of your life. Because here on the Women Matter podcast, every woman's story matters. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Women Matter podcast. I am your host, Marline C. DeRosso. Thank you so much for tuning in and being with me today. Today, I'd like to talk about a topic, and I have some notes here with me just in case to make sure I cover everything, that revolves around stress and infertility. Now, I may eventually make a video or an episode that is totally dedicated to stress, just as women, because we know that, yes, women, we matter. And one of the things that often gets in the way of us remembering that or acting on that is stress. But today's episode, I'd like to focus on the impact that stress has on infertility. As a infertility patient myself, my husband and I battled and overcame infertility for 15 years. So our journey lasted that long. And I have to tell you that stress, maybe if there was another word for it that just compounds it and makes it even greater, I have to say that's the word that I would use as it relates to stress. I mean, stress came at us from every single direction. Stress and knowing that now you're going to have to deal with undergoing infertility treatments because you now have an infertility diagnosis. The stress with the uncertainty that is surrounded by starting these treatments and undergoing this infertility journey, not knowing if you'll be successful at the end of it. Now, that's stressful, right? Because we can't control the future. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but you have to give everything your best shot when you are undergoing it. So that in itself is also very, very stressful, the unknown aspect of it. There was also stress with just having not a lot of people to talk to. You don't know really where to go, who to talk to, how to even cope. Will people understand if you do talk to them? Will they care? Will they understand? And that's very stressful because when you're dealing with infertility and on your infertility journey, you're oftentimes, dealing with it day in, day out, especially as it relates to appointments and trying to understand any diagnoses or test results that have come about from those appointments. And another part that's really stressful as it relates to the appointments is in the midst of all of this, many people dealing with infertility also have to work. So you're stressed out about, one, trying to do a good job, doing the job in itself. You're also stressed out about whether or not people are going to find out that you're dealing with this at your job. And then it's stressful to say, okay, well, if they do find out, what are they going to think? Will you be reprimanded? Will you be given the time off or the flexibility in the schedule that you need? So it's stress from everywhere. And let's not forget regular environmental and relationship stress as it relates to your social life. A lot of times you're dealing with infertility and it's unbeknownst to those around you, those you love and care about, and they love and care about you, but they have no idea that you're dealing with this. So, if you're invited to those family or friend functions that you may feel like you don't want to go. Why? Okay, well, someone probably just found out they're pregnant, right? And they're in the mood to celebrate, which they should, because it's such a joyous occasion, for many. So you don't want to seem that, you don't want to seem like you're the party pooper or the person that is not happy for them. So you're stressed out about, should you attend? If you don't attend, what excuse are you going to give? What do you say? Will people think that you're being a hater? Will people think that you're jealous? And if they do, what does that say about me? And it's just a whole gamut of stuff. Then from the intimate relationship that you have with your partner as you're undergoing this infertility journey, that's stressful too, right? Or is your partner looking down on you? Does your partner think less of you? Will your partner want to stick around? And I know that those are some sentiments that both the male and the female share as it comes to the inner workings of their relationship when they're dealing with infertility. So it's a lot. The stress in itself is something that I think just doesn't go away, and dealing with infertility, it just compounds the stress that much more. Okay. So I want to talk to you guys about a little bit more about stress and differentiate between the different types of stress. And according to Illumi Fertility, we got to cite our sources. Stress is a natural part of life, which we all know, and if we don't know, you're going to know today. Stress is inevitable. So one of the things that we have to accept when it comes to stress is that, let me back up a little bit. Although stress is inevitable, there are people, don't ask me how they do it. I have some family members, like my brothers, I have a couple of them that they don't let anything stress them out. And you heard, I'm using the word let, because oftentimes too, sometimes because the situation is going to happen, their mindset or outlook on the situation allows them to not be penetrated or affected negatively as it relates to the stress, because they feel that you can't control a lot of the stuff. So why let it bother you? And sometimes I wish when I grow up, I can be like them, but unfortunately, that's not the case for everyone that are dealing with stressful situations. But stress is a natural part of life. And sometimes even things that are going on positive, that are positive in your life, can lead to stress, because you might have good news that's going on. And we can get into that as it relates to infertility, because once you accomplish this thing, or you find out this good news, then you're stressed in anticipation of seeing it through, following through with everything that it takes to keep it, making sure that you don't lose it. You're stressed about everything going well. Like if you're planning something and there's an event involved, or a final approval process, or whatever the case may be, even positive events can enact stress in our lives, right? And, what we have to remember is that regardless of if the stress comes from a negative or a positive place, believe it or not, our bodies are built to respond to the stress, right? Your body will let you know in one way or another that something stressful is going on. Sometimes it's a positive response, sometimes it's a negative response, but either way, your body will alert you to that, right? Or alert itself to that. And that is what is known as the fight or flight response. So whenever that stress is introduced, your body is like in this, mode of, okay, do I fight? Do I fly? Like, what do I do, right? Your body tries to figure out what's next and what to do. So stress in itself refers to the response of the sympathetic nervous system to a triggering event. So again, stress refers to the response of the sympathetic nervous system to a triggering event. And normally your body naturally releases hormones, and that's what determines if your body will fight or flight, like you're fleeing from it or you're fighting against it, right? So oftentimes whenever you feel stressed, your body would respond maybe in like a, faster heart rate, or you'll start sweating, or you'll get a sense of fear, or sometimes you get a sense of self-preservation, and you just know exactly what to do. So that's where that fight or flight response comes into play as it relates to the hormones that are released when your body is triggered by a stressful event, okay? Now, there is something that is known as acute stress. Acute stress is the short form of stress, is directly related to immediate or recent challenges or pressures. So, acute stress is like short term. It can be beneficial in small doses and helps you to motivate your performance or stay on task in challenging situations. That's what I was saying, like that short-lived stress that is onset will cause your body to respond, and sometimes in a manner of self-preservation or, fighting it, then it's like, okay, let me hurry up and get this done, because once I know it's done, this will be good and my body will go back to normal and I won't feel this way. So we all have issues of acute stress, which is the short-term type of stress that your body experiences. Then oftentimes, the next type of stress is chronic stress, and chronic stress persists over an extended period, typically resulting from ongoing pressures, challenges, or adversities that seem insurmountable or endless. So let's repeat that. Chronic stress uh, persists over an extended amount of period of time. It typically results from ongoing pressures, challenges, adversities that seem insurmountable or endless. Now, I have to tell you, unlike acute stress, which is short term and related to a more immediate concern, chronic stress lingers and can become a major factor in someone's life. And what I was going to say before comparing the two, acute versus chronic, is that infertility is one of those things that you will experience sometimes both acute, but that's within the chronic stress, because the ongoing life form that you're in when you're dealing with infertility, constitutes you being in a consistently chronic, stressful, peace of mind, or state of mind, I should say. So now let's jump right into, now that we're talking about acute stress, chronic stress, and infertility, one of the $1 million questions that's often asked is, especially from a more holistic standpoint, is whether or not stress can impact someone's fertility. Okay. So oftentimes, when you're dealing with infertility, you have these ups and downs, and the fertility journey in itself, like I was saying from before, is very unpredictable, with no guarantee or concern, no guarantee or promise of how it'll end up. So that's what causes or brings on that chronic stress when it relates to infertility. So one of the things that happens, and I found out with infertility, is that although stress does not cause infertility, it's not a source of your infertility. Infertility can be a source of your stress, and infertility can cause stress. So it's like a one directional relationship, where it hasn't been proven yet, at least based on my research and other holistic practices and medical doctors that I've dealt with. It hasn't been shown for a fact that stress is what will cause your infertility or impair your fertility, but dealing with infertility can cause stress. Now, you may be wondering, how is it that stress doesn't cause infertility or doesn't impair your fertility? If you think about it, it's one of those things where it's like stress in itself, it causes your body to be in this constant internal struggle, fight or flight mode, but it doesn't necessarily relate to all of the organs and the hormones and the correct firings that have to happen in order for fertility to take place, right? So you can look at it that way, versus if you're constantly stressed, though, your body may not respond to certain things in a certain way because it's all confused, right? But when you're dealing with infertility and the stress presents itself, then we have to focus on finding ways to trigger relaxation and allow ourselves to get in more of a non-stress state of mind, non-stress physical sense, so that whatever you are doing as it relates to infertility treatment on your journey, you're a little bit more receptive to it, because your state of mind is that of one with less stress. Okay, so I know that was kind of like a mouthful, but it's really important to know, because sometimes women tend to, be hard on themselves, because they feel that because they're so stressed out, now they have infertility. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, so some of the ways that I'm going to talk about is ways that you can manage or reduce your stress as it relates to infertility. And again, this list is partially brought to you by myself, from my lived infertility experience, and from Illumi Fertility. So one of the ways that you can do it is to make a list of priorities. Now, when you're dealing with something like infertility, like I was saying too, we have so much to deal with. Like in the beginning of the video, you're still, a child, a sibling, you're still an employee at work, you're still a partner to someone else. So there's so many different things that you have going on. So it's important to make a list of priorities. And hopefully what's on the list of priorities is yourself, because as women, we tend to prioritize everything and everyone else above our own self. So making a list of priorities helps, because although everything may seem and may be important, we can't do everything all at the same time, right? So it's important to prioritize that, so that that helps your body kind of relax, knowing that, okay, I'm going to take one thing at a time versus dealing with the internal fight and struggle that you have because everything is on your plate at the same time. For me, I really love making lists. I really love having tasks. I can show you. I make lists all the time. I write them down. I have a journal. In this case, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a list in my, you can't really see it, but I have a list in my task and my notes in my phone. So it's important for me, because then I also feel like I've accomplished something when I'm able to check things off. So making lists and having a priority list is really, really important and beneficial. It really helps, guys, or gals, I should say. So the other thing when managing stress as it relates to infertility is to find a fertility friend or a support group. Now, I'm happy to say that I have been working with the National Infertility Organization named Resolve, RESOLVE.org. They are a national nonprofit, and one of their biggest missions is to help support men, women on their infertility journey. And one of the things that they offer as a resource is national and by way of local support groups that people who are dealing with infertility can tap into to find that support. And I'm also a part of one of the South Florida, that's where I'm located regionally, support groups, and help with the other nonprofit Filling Empty Wombs, where our CEO, Sandra Elidor, hosts the National Resolve support group for infertility twice a month. So definitely go to resolve.org and sign up for the notifications, and just look at the calendar. The website is amazing. All the information you need is there, because that's another thing. When you're dealing with infertility, you're constantly site surfing and looking for information, and the Resolve website can get you in contact with any of the local infertility groups around you that you can find for support, because there's something about being in community with people who are where you are or have been where you are. That way you feel heard, you feel like you matter, you feel like there's substance in what you're going through, because other people can actually relate, right? And also go to the fillingemptywombs.org website, and you can sign up to be on the mailing list. That way, if you're in the South Florida area, you can sign up for the free infertility support groups that are hosted the first and third Mondays of each month by Sandra Elidor and myself sometimes. The third way to manage stress and infertility is to get to know yourself again. Now, this is very, very important, okay? And I can even make another video on, women in general, even if you're not going through infertility, on finding yourself again. Oftentimes, when you're thrown into this infertility, labyrinth, you're like, oh my gosh, who am I? What am I doing? Will I ever get back to myself? It can be very, very tricky, right? And it's important to know that you are more than your infertility diagnosis. And, you take a step back when you realize that you're all ingrained. And remember what I was saying earlier, infertility is one of those things that you just don't know what the outcome is going to be, but you're going to do your best and put in 100,000% so that you can get the outcome that you want. That's just normally what you do. But you're doing all of that at the expense of maybe not enjoying your life or tapping into the other things that you once liked and wanted to do. So you can sometimes ask yourself questions like, what are some of the activities that you really like to do? What are some hobbies that you found yourself not doing anymore, but you remember when you did do them, they brought you happiness and joy, and also a stress reliever? Who's in your support network? Like who else do you have that you can talk to? And maybe since you've started going on this infertility journey, you maybe aren't as close to them just because of the lack of communication, or you're focus on this infertility. Maybe you reach out to them, and it doesn't have to be about infertility. This is getting back to those relationships that you had fostered prior to ingraining yourself 100% into infertility. And another thing you can say, okay, because what I was saying in the beginning is that stress is inevitable and it's normally always there and it's just going to happen because that's just how life is. Prior to infertility, what are some things you did to manage your stress, right? So you kind of say, okay, well, in the past, if I did, I breath work, or I went outside and, put my feet and my feet and my toes in the sand on the beach, that really helped me relax. So you're like, you know what? During this infertility journey, maybe I can get back to doing some of those stress relieving techniques in order to feel better. Okay. The next thing I just mentioned is to practice breath work. That really helps you manage your stress and reduce. And, you just don't know how much a good deep breath does for you. So let's take a quick moment now, because I think I need a deep breath too. I'm not stressed or anything, but it's a lot of talking and I just want to make sure I get everything out. So let's pause, right? Then we're going to take a deep breath in. Out. One more time. Now, oftentimes, wow, that really helped. That really feels good. Oftentimes, you'll find where doing 3 to 5 deep breaths really helps to center you, allow you to refocus, and allow you to be able to recenter yourself and push forward. And it really does do a number on helping you to be calmer. And it's not a all the time fix and that's it, it's over, the stress is done. No, these are ways to help you relieve the stress and manage the stress so that maybe you get another good hour of productivity, another 30 minutes of productivity, or whatever it is. You take those deep breaths, recenter, refocus so that you can continue on whatever it is that you're doing. So breath work is very, very, very beneficial. And it's one of those proven holistic tactics that works when it comes to helping to relieve stress and to increase relaxation. Okay. And another thing that you can do is to find a mantra similar to breath work. You can practice repeating a mantra to calm your mind and focus in on your goals, right? Finding a mantra. So oftentimes we have certain, I would relate it to a positive affirmation that you can say that will really help recenter you. So maybe right after those deep breaths, you say those positive affirmations to yourself so that you can remind yourself of who you are. You remind yourself of your ultimate goal. You remind yourself to find you again and not get lost in what it is that you're trying to overcome. Like, for instance, maybe as it relates to infertility, you can say, I will be a mom. I have my child in my arms. I can and will get through this. So you find those positive words of empowerment to help keep pushing you through it, because they serve as reminders to help relieve the stress, remind you of all the good things that you have going on so that you can push forward to your goals and dreams that you're trying to accomplish. One of the other ways that you can help relieve and manage your stress is to reach out for support. Now, this is very, very important. Okay. Oftentimes, we women tend to think we don't need anyone, we can do it ourselves, or what will they think of me? Because again, I'm not the first person to go through this. I won't be the last person to go through this. So why is it that other people were able to get through it, but I'm not able to get through it? We give ourselves so much headache. It's insane, right? So with that, we have to remind ourselves, ladies, and take this from me as I am a recovering non-helper getter person. You know what that is. But I am recovering from that. And it has helped me so much because I am okay now with asking for help. Now, I will tell you, I'm a little bit more mindful of who I ask for help from. I try to make sure I do my research to say, okay, if I am reaching out for help, I will be able to get results or the support that I need. Because let me give you an example of that. It's like if you need help on how to make ice cream, right? I've learned that, yes, I can scream to the top of the world that, hey, I need help making ice cream. I need help making ice cream. But I'm saying it to, the car wash guy. Like, how is he going to help me? Now, that's not to say that the car wash guy doesn't know how to make ice cream. That's not what I'm saying either, because remember, people are multifaceted, right? So what I'm saying more for the general sake of this example is I do research now to say, okay, yes, I've acknowledged that I need help. Yes, I'm okay with now asking for help. I want to make sure that I'm reaching out to the right type of person and the right type of help to get me on the path that I need. So if I'm looking for someone to help me make ice cream instead of wasting all of this milk and cream and sugar, I'm now going to reach out to maybe someone in the bakery, or someone that works on a milk processing farm, or some local dairy person, because oftentimes you have local farm stores that are around that sell naturally homemade ice cream. So maybe you go to them. So the same goes for when you're seeking out help, trying to first be okay with it, and then seeking out people that you feel can actually help you, because then you'll feel accomplished and feel good about the fact that you were able to reach out to the right person to get the help that you need, which then helps relieve your stress. You see how that all circles back, works together? Okay. All right. The next thing that we can do to help relieve and manage stress is to seek out a therapist. Coming from a African American Caribbean descent, I am a first generation American born to Haitian immigrants. And living here in America, it's a little tricky because in our community, therapy is not something that you do, because even till this day, I have to talk to my mom, because she's like, oh, you can't let people know. Okay, well, that's just a family thing. You don't want people to think. Everything is about what somebody thinks, well, how they're going to look at you. You're telling your business, this whole thing. So it's very, very important. And I've learned to reach out to a qualified person that is able to help you, right? You have your community group of folks, but then you also have the licensed professionals. And I have to tell you from experience that my therapist is a godsend. She came down just to help me. And I was able to partner with my therapist from my OBGYN. And, my reason for seeking therapy was a very traumatic one. I had a horrible experience and child loss, and I just didn't know if I was coming, going, didn't felt anyone understood. It got to the point where I felt like I was being crippled and couldn't function, couldn't produce. So, my doctor connected me with a therapist as a recommendation. The good thing about it is that we hit it off immediately, because it's also very important in advocating for yourself to make sure that you partner with someone who you get along with and you have a good rapport with, so that the sessions can be beneficial and things of that nature. So therapy is good. That's all I'm going to say about that. Don't discount therapy. Okay. You can also create a mental health toolbox. And in this toolbox, it serves as a mental or visual reminder of the positive things and the good things that you have, so that if the mantra maybe isn't working today, or speaking to the infertility group of women, you still need more, you need more of a reminder. You can have that mental health toolbox to help you. And some of the things that you may have in the mental health toolbox include, photos of loved ones, right? Family and friends, encouraging notes from your friends and family, those same positive affirmations and mantras, because sometimes, we think of the same one maybe over and over in our brain, but if you write them down, put them in a box, then you can pull out different ones to remind yourself of those positive affirmations. Making sure you maybe have access to apps that focus on meditation and relaxation. So in the in the Play Store, whether you have an Apple or an Android, or just on YouTube, you have access to meditation and relaxation apps, videos, things like that you can tap into to help you as well. Having a great playlist of your favorite songs. Sometimes you need those songs. Music is therapeutic in itself. You might hear a song and it takes you back to that particular point in time in your life. And just don't underestimate or discount the impact that music has. And it helps you to disconnect refocus on yourself, refocus on positive things so that you can keep going. Some phone numbers of people you trust, and maybe you have like coloring books. Like I, as a young girl, I used to love to color, right? So your mental health toolbox can probably have those coloring books in there. Maybe you have good short reads that you want to get into that keep you captivated, a good book that you can always get back to. So having that mental health toolbox helps as well. And then the last thing in terms of infertility and helping to uh, uh, instill some relaxation and relaxation techniques and reduce stress is to really take into account, understand, and accept that infertility is a life crisis. You know, it really is a big deal. It really is something important. It really is something that holds a lot of weight in your life. You're not dealing with just, a fingernail that is, pinched. No, infertility is a big deal. So give yourself grace in knowing that because this is a serious thing, it's okay to allow yourself to be in that space in a way to, okay, I'm going to be at this for a while. I'm going to be dealing with this for a little bit. I can't, like, don't be too hard on yourself because you think, oh, I should be over it by now, or, I should be addressing it this way instead. No, it's really a big, multifaceted, multi-layered, very complex um, situation, and dealing with that, you're going to need all the help and support that you can get, so just don't discount it and give yourself grace knowing that you're dealing with something that really truly is a big deal. And lastly, before we go, as it relates to stress and infertility, we just want to talk about maybe some things that we can do to in addition to tactics to improve or increase relaxation and reduce stress. We're going to tie that in with some self-care, tips, different things that you can do for self-care. And this is according to SCI IVF Hospital, a member of the SCI healthcare group, right? And some of the self-care strategies that can help people when they're dealing with infertility include, we talked about prioritizing your mental health. And that's why I want you to know, even the professionals, even the clinics, everybody involved in this infertility journey and in this infertility matrix knows that the mental health is very, very important because mind over matter. And if your mind isn't right, everything else just doesn't seem to fall into place. So prioritizing your mental health is one of the things that we can do to help with self-care, for people dealing with infertility. And minding your mental health, speaking to a therapist, speaking to people around you that care and understand, partaking in the support groups, right, for infertility that are also there to help because those people have either been through it or are going through it as well, right? So you feel like you're not alone and you're heard and understood during this horrible life event, not horrible, this complicated life event that you're dealing with. Next, you can engage in regular exercise. I love being active, but here in South Florida, it's so hot. So a lot of times the heat kind of dissuades us from wanting to be outside. But once you start and you get over the whole, I don't want to do it anyway, it's really helpful, right? And if you're unable to go outside to get some exercise, same good old YouTube, some exercise apps, things that are free, you get your body going, put that music playlist on and, move your body, you're doing your exercises and, I don't know what this is, but a lot of people do that and you got your arms and you're just kind of going, right? And getting those endorphins going and getting that adrenaline out. And it really, really helps as a self-care tactic when it comes to coping with infertility. But talk to your doctor about exercise because I was an avid yogi. I partook in Bikram yoga, which is hot yoga, where the room is normally minimum like 105 to 108 degrees. And in doing my infertility treatments, depending on where I was in the stage of the game, thank goodness I was mindful and knew to ask my doctor about certain exercises that I could do. And I wanted to incorporate more cardio and things of that nature. So you have to get the okay from your doctor to make sure, because one of the things about infertility, you don't want to put too much undue stress physically on your body by incorporating a different type of exercise because of everything that's going on in there when they're trying to get you pregnant. So always talk to your doctor as it relates to starting new exercises or even continuing the exercises that you have been doing to make sure that the level that you're doing them at is still okay. Okay. Sometimes I have to tell you, you have to take a break. And I'm speaking from experience. You have to take a break from trying to conceive. My husband and I did that. And during those breaks, let me tell you guys everything I did during this break. Okay. So during these breaks from infertility, we traveled. We took flights to other countries. And from those other countries, we got on a cruise. We focused on buying our first home. Another break I took, I went to school and completed my master's. On another break that I took, I focused on becoming a licensed certified public accountant, and that takes a lot of time and dedication. So I can't even imagine dealing with the stress of infertility and trying to, get these schooling and certifications going. Other breaks that we took had, different parties, doing different things to celebrate the good things that we had going on in our lives. So sometimes it's good to take a break from infertility because you just need that. I don't even know how else to explain. Sometimes a break is necessary. But of course, talk to your doctor, talk to your professionals, because depending on where you are in your journey, the source of your infertility, your age, all these different factors, maybe you do have to maybe take a break just to come back knowing that you're gonna, hit the pavement running because of time or what it is that you have to deal with, right? But it's okay to take a break when you need it. That really helps with your mental health as well. Again, connecting with other people, whether it's through a like-minded community, friends, support groups, things of that nature. And, being kind to yourself. Oftentimes we are our worst critic and we give ourselves a hard time. So it's okay to, again, understand, recognize, and accept that infertility is really a life crisis. So don't be so hard on yourself. It's important to practice self-care, take care of yourself, pamper yourself. Because infertility is also financially taxing or can be financially taxing on couples, it's important to maybe put a little something aside for your self-care when it comes to maybe getting, manicures and pedicures, doing your hair, maybe, getting dressed up one day, getting your makeup done to go do like a makeover type session and, just enjoying a massage, things of that nature. So trying to prioritize your self-care as it relates to also taking care of you is very, very important as it relates to infertility. So all of that to say, stress is a part of life that I think none of us can get away with. However, there are ways that we can cope with stress and ways that we can help minimize the stress and be able to still go on to accomplish our goals, get our dreams realized, and just maneuver this life while managing the stress. So hopefully today's episode helped with those different tactics. If you'd like to connect with me more or share your own insight on stress as it relates to infertility, please definitely do so. And I can be reached www.mcdbe.com. And that is it for today's episode on stress and infertility. I am your host, Marlene DeRosso, and I'll see you next time.